Tell me about exponential growth, because this was one of the pieces in your series that I was blown away by.
You know, there's this famous quote by Keynes that not one man in a million understands inflation. The inflation process is very important. I think it's one man in a billion that probably understands what exponential growth is, and it's one of the most important things that we could get our arms around. And the reason it's so difficult to talk about is because we're humans, and we're not wired for exponential growth. We think in linear form. So if something goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, people get a sense of that. We know how that works. But when something goes from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16 to 32 and just mushrooms off, well, it's much harder to understand it, and we're surrounded by exponential growth. It's in our economy, it's in our monetary numbers, it's in our debt numbers, it's in environmental statistics, it's in how rapidly we're depleting things in an inverse exponential decay, it's in everywhere we're surrounded by. So understanding is really critical. So I have a couple examples to help people understand what exponential growth is and why it's so hard. So if I had two erasers, and I said, all right, I'm going to give you $100 based on how evenly you can bring these two erasers together, nice even speed, you'll do a great job at that, right? You'll win $100 from me every single time. But now let's replace them two big heavy magnets, neodymium magnets, maybe from a Tesla coil, something really awesome. And you'll do what everybody does. All of a sudden they'll snap together, right? And it's because these magnets are pulling together with exponential force. And even though you might be physically capable of controlling that, your mind and your muscles and your neurons won't be able to wire that up. I'll give you 100 shots and it'll still be doing this because we just aren't wired for that. Another exponential example that really helps bring this home. Do you have a park, like a favorite park that you wouldn't mind see getting ruined?
How about, I think they're going to decommission Candlestick Park in San Francisco.
Perfect.
Area.
All right, let's use that as an example. So here's the thought experiment. Imagine I have a magic eyedropper, and it's magic because the drop of water that comes out of this eyedropper will double every minute. So after 1 minute, you get 2 drops, and after 2 minutes, you get 4 drops, and after 6 minutes, you can fill the thimble up, right? All right, so let's do 2 things. We're gonna make this part watertight, and I'm gonna handcuff you to the highest row of bleacher seats. And let's start this tomorrow, 12 o'clock, you're handcuffed up in this highest row of bleacher seats, and I go down right into the center of the field, and I put one of these magic drops down. Now, here's the question. How long do you have to escape from your handcuffs, knowing that this park is going to fill up with water?
Okay, 1 drop, and it's got to fill the entire park. How about a day?
A day. Good, that's close. What if I told you the answer is 50 minutes?
Wow.
You can think 51 minutes, if you want to get rid of the skepticism, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's amazing, right? Just 50 or 51 minutes, and it's all over. The whole park is full. That's not the important question. Here's the important question. At what time is this park still 97% empty space? It's not filled with water. And do you realize the seriousness of your predicament?
Well, I know it would be half full 1 minute before my predicament. So, I don't know, 10 minutes?
It's 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay.
So if we go back just 5 minutes in time, there's a little bit of water in the infield. And then 5 more minutes and it's over. And so when I look at this, I look across the world and I think, okay, from all of human history until 1960 to put the first 3 billion people on the planet, and then just 40 years to put the next 3 billion people on the planet. And this is important because the Earth is our stadium, and we're living through one of the most extraordinary periods of human history. Not just American history, not just in our personal lifetime history, but human history, because you and I will be alive during a time when human population will have fully tripled from roughly 3 billion to 9 billion if we live to ripe old ages. It's extraordinary. It's putting pressure on everything, and that exponential human growth is putting the curve on all those charts we just talked about. How fast we're depleting oil, how much food we have to grow, airline miles traveled, loss of tuna from the oceans, how much money has to be created. All of that is being driven by this exponential process. And so something I really like to be able to communicate to people is that exponential processes speed up at the end. So if anybody watching this has the sense that maybe things are going faster and it's harder to keep up with events and wait, what's happening in Europe, it seems to be crumbling fairly quickly, that's because we have all these exponential processes converging on this one moment in time, and yes, things really are speeding up here and now.